You are listening to the Chits and Giggles podcast.
Hey guys, and welcome to this week's Chits and Giggles podcast. Today I am joined with Russell and David. How's it going, guys?
It's going very well.
It's pretty good.
So I just want to let everyone know really quickly that we're really sorry that the website's been a bit quiet recently. As we all know from podcasts, the internet in Australia is awful, so much so that I've actually been without it for over a month. But we have maybe 4 or 5 podcasts that will all be coming out over the next couple of weeks. So we're going to make up for the quiet period by smashing you with a whole ton of new podcasts. So hopefully you'll enjoy those. So we've got lots of exciting things to talk about because you guys just went to the UK Games Expo. And this year, because I'm on the other side of the world, I couldn't go. So I'm going to...
We saved a seat for you, Ben, but it just went cold. It's left cold.
Where were you? It was different. I missed you, Ben, because last year I was treated with your company.
Summer. That's right. Last year was a good year. But
the one that I wasn't there, right? I get it.
Yeah, it was much better when you weren't there, Russell.
Yeah, okay.
I'm joking. This year was insane. It was off the charts.
It was good.
This
I have to say,
heard.
I did enjoy it. My first time there, actually. Never been before. Kind of weird because I actually was... The first time I went is the first time it's been in the NEC itself.
Yeah.
So before, it's always been held at the Hilton next to the NEC. Obviously, lots of rooms and stuff, but it's not quite the same. I would imagine the same as the Expo that it was this year, because it felt like, everyone kind of in the same room. I mean, it was still in the Hilton as well. Still had all those like open gaming rooms, and a couple of podcasts were being recorded there, and a couple of talks, and there was like a 3D, was it like a spaceship simulator or something there?
Yeah, that was nice.
But then they had the hall as well, and that's where all of the games publishers were, and they were there showing off their games. They had a couple of new games, had a couple of old games, all that, basically.
That's exciting.
I wonder what the numbers were compared to last year. I was really interested to know, actually. I didn't find this out.
I've got them here for you.
Oh, do you? Just happen to have the figures,
How?
Ben, you strange
I have
man.
them here. So the attendance figures this year were 25,149,
Whoa!
which was 86% higher.
Oh my gosh, that's ridiculous.
I don't
last
think they were
time, which is
expecting
crazy.
that, were they?
I know, that's crazy. And unique attendees was 12,636. So that's how many of the people were, I guess that's new.
Tickets. Yeah.
Are they people who haven't been before? Is that what that means?
No, I think
so.
that means like out of people who went the 3 days, they counted probably everyone who came in, and then the people who went 3 days, they would count as one unique visitor, like 3 visits.
Right, yeah, that makes sense.
That's my take on it anyway.
Either way, well, that's the figure. So that's up 41% as well. So it's almost like double what it was last year, which is hectic because when I see these figures and I see the pictures, and it looks more like Essen than it does the UK Games Expo. Is that a fair comparison, Russell?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like there was definitely a sense of it wanting to be like Essen. The fact that you had so many big publishers there. First one you see is like Mayfair, and I'm like, okay, fair enough, because it's in Britain, a British publisher. But then you had like just loads of other companies. I can't remember any of the.
Who had the bus?
Yeah, there were
Wogan
got something games. It was like a
Wotan,
giant double-decker
Wotan
bus.
Games had a double-decker bus they rocked up in.
Yeah.
I don't even know what it was about. No, I didn't see anyone go on it.
Go in
or anyone come off of
I
it.
didn't even go in it. I was like, no, I'm sick of waiting on buses. It's not my thing.
It just seemed like a really expensive poster.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it was good. Like, it genuinely felt like, given a few more years now, especially with the fact that board games are growing, it will be like probably what Essen was like a few years ago.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
So the main hall in the NEC, was that kind of like one of the main halls in Essen? So was it...
Not quite. I mean, what they did, obviously it was like a massive hall, and they had lots of people under the same roof. So in that sense it was, but one of Essen's halls is still bigger.
Oh my god, okay.
A little bit bigger than the NEC's was, because they split it up. They split the hall in some sort of like I don't know, they cut it in half or whatever. They blocked it off one of the walls, and so it was still smaller, but it was still huge. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
it was still good. And even though there were so many people there, on the Saturday it definitely did not feel too busy. Like there was still room to visit everything. You never felt like you had to wait ages to do anything. So in that sense it was actually better than Essen.
So one of the big things that the UK Games Expo is known for, and something that Essen doesn't even do, is they have a massive open gaming section or room. Did they have the same thing this year?
They had several.
Yeah, Thirsty Meeples kind of took over in the actual, the main NEC room. So in the slap bang in the middle, Thirsty Meeples were doing a, borrow a board game style thing in the centre of that.
Mobile library.
Yeah, so they had their mobile library, and it was very mobile because they had to go from the NEC to the Hilton every night, which was pretty crazy for those guys. I saw them sweating.
They really earned their money.
Oh yeah,
year, those guys,
and they made a killing. I'm sure I bought several games off of them as well, and they deserved it. I mean, I love how well they represent their board game cafe, unlike some others I won't mention. But it's good to see. It's good to see, and I really appreciate that. And I had a chat with them about that, which was quite nice. I really like those guys.
Loads of big, massive rooms, loads of chairs, loads of tables, where people were open gaming as well.
Ben, if you remember last year where it was all in the Hilton, imagine all of those rooms were now just open gaming. That's what happened, which is nuts, because, we remember it from last year, those being the trade halls that you were walking around.
That's
but this time I walked in, it was just tables and chairs, as far as the eye could see.
Because I wish they did that at Essen, because you buy new games, and then you want to go and play them and meet people. That's what it's all about. But in Essen, you have to go to, like, the hotel? The hotel. Foyers, or the foyers, as you guys say. And play them there, but it's nice to have these big places, and
I think that's why people like it so much. I think that's really a drawing factor to the UK one.
Didn't you play some games with some interesting people, Russell?
Yeah, so a nice segue, that one. But then, so basically doing the game, I managed to get myself down into not one but two of the Shut Up and Sit Down podcast recordings, and I know that they are doing a same thing as us in the reporting about games and stuff. But actually, very nice guys, and I did get to chat to them for a bit. In fact, they one of them may have joined us for a game of Two Rooms and a Boom that we played, which Dave and his brother were key in organising. And it was really good. Like, so we managed to get a big group of people in on the Friday evening to play Two Rooms and a Boom, and we enjoyed it so much. But we're not going to go into it in detail because it was, it was amazing, but I don't want to bore anyone with just like a play-by-play of a game that they didn't take part in. I'm sure they don't want to hear that. But for those who don't know, Two Rooms and a Boom being a hostage negotiation game, you can only play it with a large number of players, so perfect for expos. But we had so much fun, didn't we, Dave? That it
was amazing.
We kind of tried to get the guy to set up a second game. So the second night we managed to play, and we were sitting down playing Avalon, and then the guy comes in, he's like, "Oh, I've got Two Rooms and a Boom again." We're like, "Brilliant." And who sat next to us? Not the guy Matt from Shut Up and Sit Down. So casually invited him over to play, and he said, "Yeah, sure, why not?" So literally joined us for a game of Two Rooms and a Boom. It was amazing. Like, it was so much fun, just the fact that you can do that. And I think we played mostly with people I'd never met before. People joined in, and then people left, and then more people joined in. It was just cool, and I think that's like the great thing about the expo is that you can literally just game with strangers. The thing that you miss from Essen.
That was the one thing I think that really changed about this expo for me, is there was a much bigger presence of all these big names, if I call them that, in the board game world, just kind of hanging out and just walking around. So obviously Tom Vassell was there this year, and his Dice Tower team had popped along, which was lovely just to see them hanging out. My little brother did a very cool thing this year where he got all of his faves to sign the front cover of his expo book. So he's covered it in the signatures of all the Shut Up and Sit Down team, the Dice Tower, all his favourite designers, and he's making this a tradition now, and I think that's a lovely thing that shows how the expo is growing. Did you sign it, Dave? I was not on there, but we did have a few people that we'd kind of just met that maybe weren't stars, but we had met a man on the train up there called Tom, who was a very cool guy. He had done a mad thing where he had decided that he was not going to buy a hotel ticket. He was just going to game through the entire night and get the 6 o'clock train in the morning. So we tried to help Tom as much as we could. And we gamed till about 4 o'clock on the Friday night to keep Tom up. But I played my first sleep game, which was amazing. I basically slept between my turns and then woke up to play my turn and went back to sleep.
What game? What game?
It's like that playing games with Russell.
It was Guilds of London, which people have been going nuts for.
I knew Ben would get in a joke about my taking ages.
This is the thing.
I can rest for the rest of the podcast now.
I've heard a lot about Guilds of London. Did you
Yes.
guys both play it?
No, I didn't.
I played it with Rob. I don't think Russell had
No.
a chance to this time round because this was
tell me
a
about
big
it.
UK release. The guy had only brought 200 copies of the game, so everyone had rushed there on the Friday, and I think within a couple of hours he'd sold out of his copies. So Rob obviously had managed to get a copy. We decided to play it on the night, and yeah, I mean it's good. It's not my favourite style of game, but I enjoyed it enough. I would obviously have to play it again because I was slept through most of it, but my turns were quite good. They were right. I still didn't come last, even though I slept through the game.
What kind of game is it?
It is a worker placement, displacement style game, so you are kind of trying to just take over the guilds essentially with your meeples, and you can allocate how many you're going to be placing to certain places. And a bit like Smash Up, where you can pop certain places with the amount of meeples you have on there.
Cool.
People can ride off the amount that are on there, and there's a bit of a battle for each zone and that sort of style stuff. So yeah, there's a lot going on, and it's pretty cool. I definitely need to play it again when I'm more awake.
Did you? Did you say was it a new designer who designed it?
No, it's the guy who did Snowdonia.
So that's the stared
surprise
stared game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been in development for yonks, and I think it finally has made it.
Okay, that's
out.
interesting, because I've played a few of their games, and I think I feel the same way as your initial reaction, where they're kind of like, they're good, but they're just not... Do you know what I mean? But maybe this is the one. Maybe this is their
do it.
break into the
I don't know if it
mainstream.
will in time. I know Rob's very excited about it, but we'll see how it hits when we're all ready for it.
So talking about games though, obviously I managed to pick up finally a copy of Jam Sumo and Karo.
Hey!
Yeah.
I also got Jam Sumo. We all just bought Jam Sumo.
Really?
Yeah, Ben is going to get his copy. I've
got to get mine at Essen. So is Karo is out now?
Yes, so that was the first time he was selling it. He
amazing.
also, though, released, he demoed or previewed or whatever, a new game called Rallycross. So I like how his games are all set on the same size board, so he can just buy the same packaging for all of his games. That's neat. That's efficient.
Gavin Birnbaum.
Yeah. Cubico Games.
Yeah. Just in case people haven't heard that podcast, we got to play some of these games with him before they were released, and they're amazing. We couldn't wait to get our hands on them. But it's good that because he was saying that he releases one a year, but it sounds like he's kind of increased the pace a bit on that.
I genuinely think that he is more passionate about games the more I meet him. Like, he just is so excited to demo. For example, we got there quite early because obviously we're a friend of Gavin's, and I'm a friend and I brought friends along and I kept telling them about it. And so we went to see Gavin sort of fairly early on in the expo, and while it had been a few hours, he hadn't demoed the new game yet. And so my friends were like, can you show us? And he was just really excited to show it. And then later on, he had this other game on display called Make Hay, and I think that's a new one as well. It's about collecting hay, and it's like a programming game. Very, again, like really clever. But this Rallycross game, it's got like a racetrack, sort of a figure eight, but with some sort of slight changes. And then you have these sort of different length sticks, and then the idea is that you literally have to program these sticks so that you use the sticks to move forward. And if you ever can't place a stick so that it fully lays on the path of the racetrack, then you lose a life. And once you run out of life, you start losing sticks. And so the idea is that you're trying to just get around the track, but your opponents get in the way, you see. It's because whoever goes first, wherever they land, that you can't use your stick can't cross or land on the space where their car is. You can use your car to block a player. Very neat little game, and so I got to play that, and that was good. Really, really fun little game. And my friend bought the only copy I think he had. He literally said, I wanted something unique. Can I buy it? And he said, well, I think I've got one other copy somewhere, but yeah, sure. So that was quite cool.
Gavin's really nice.
He's the best, isn't he?
Speaking of cool UK designers, Dave, you've been designing some stuff.
Oh, I have.
And in the previous expos, there's been like a playtest area. Was that there this year?
Yeah, it was amazing. It really was. They had kind of had this whole section. It was a really good area for it as well. Great footfall. There were people, asking any passers-by to come test games for other people. And there was just a really nice atmosphere walking past it every time. Something new and exciting was going on, whether it had been drawn on the back of a cardboard box or some much more developed. There were just constant games. And there must have been about 15 tables of
That's awesome.
playtesting going on. So this was really amazing. I got to play a few different games, and I'll talk a little bit more about those later. But also playtesting from my side of things was a lot of fun too, because you're just getting so many good ideas from people who really knew the hobby, coming along and changed my game a lot just through this hour and a half that I had on this table. So I was very appreciative of the time that they all gave up. It was really, really good. And the guy who was running it, Rob Harper, I think his name is, was just doing sterling job. Rob Harris, sorry. Rob Harris was just doing a sterling job of getting it all organised.
Rob Harper just got really excited then for a second.
Yay, finally some recognition! So Rob Harris had done, a great job and was just on it. Just had it all going on. And again, hats off to all the team that were getting people to come over and playtest stuff. But I saw some great games going on. There was one called Flea Circus, which just looked nuts, where I think you had to train your little fleas to do tricks, and everyone was winning different things there. There was an amazing rap battle game, which is just a bit nuts. Essentially, you had a lyric book that you would choose different theme cards and then had to write a rap based around the words on those cards, and would score different points for the rhymes you managed to make, depending on how easy or hard it was to rhyme against those words. And then the guy had a little beatboxing going on that you would rap over and see who could score the most. This was insane, absolutely insane. It's the kind of game you wouldn't believe existed unless you had sat down to play it. So this is the kind of level we were at, and there's some lots of amazing stuff going on. I think one was about trying to be the first to kill yourself, and I was like, it's a bit dark, but all right. And so
wasn't that the game we played, Ben? That sounds like a game we played before.
Yeah, I feel like we've played it before, because the playtest at the UK Games Expo is run by Playtest UK, which is like a big group in England, and they've got some pretty good designers. Because I just want to list off a couple of the games that have been published by people who go to Playtest UK, because it's open to anyone. If anybody wants to go along, they've got meetings in London, in Cambridge, and all over the UK. But some games that you might know: Elysium, Pocket Imperium, Extra Extra, Redacted, Waggle Dance, Microfilms, Dragon Slayer, Relic Runners, Flock, Empire Engine. There's even Anachrony, the one that just got funded on Kickstarter. All of these have got designers who go to Playtest UK. So there's some designers that you might know, or games that you might have played, and you can go and test their games, and they can then test yours and give you feedback. So check out Playtest UK if you're an aspiring designer like Dave.
Woohoo! Yeah, I couldn't recommend it more. It's just a lovely thing, even to go along and play other people's games. It's just lovely to see it all, the machines working from the inside and being able to give a little bit of feedback.
How did your game work? Were you testing?
Yeah, so it was really nice. I had Button Ball, which I was testing out, and
Ball.
We're at the point now. Yeah, Button Ball is kind of, it's ready enough. It's getting there, but it definitely need a little bit of other people playing it just to give a few ideas. So I got some great feedback from people who had played it, who gave me some more ideas about there's a lot of hidden identity going on at the beginning of the game, and they gave me some great tips of what you could do at the beginning just to make that a bit more important. So those have already been integrated into the game. Lots of people wanting to know more about it and give me their little cards, or ways to contact them and tell them more when it's finally ready to go out.
That's cool.
It was just a nice buzz, and people were just really good at giving you positive and constructive criticism towards your game. And again, you can't get much better than that when you're a game designer.
Nice one. Another thing about the UK Games Expo, which is kind of unique, is the bring and buy. And I know, David, last year you had some good discoveries there. Was that there this year again?
Yeah, we went back into the bring and buy again this year, and it was very similar to last year. It didn't feel like I think it was bigger in the sense, but I found less, if that makes sense. I think people had started to I don't know if people had exploited it at all. Maybe I just wasn't looking for the right kind of things. But there had already been some pre-warnings this year about people kind of picking up cheap games in the works. This is a thing at the moment of these kind of not great games and then putting them into the bring and buy for ramped up prices, which is a bit cheeky,
Yeah.
And there's a lot of the whole people hearing about announcements of new games being released and trying to get rid of their old copies before people realise that's happening. So that's a bit cheeky as well. So there's a few things to watch out for, and if you weren't as savvy, maybe you would have got caught in those traps. But equally, Rob picked up a few bits and bobs. He got an expansion to Eclipse. He managed to find the little Snowdonia meeples you can get, so he was very happy with the few things he got. I didn't find anything for me, but I saw a lot of people coming out with piles and piles of good stuff. So yeah, I think it's still a great thing to have.
I didn't get anything, but that's mainly because I didn't go.
Oh, right, good. Why were you?
That's one way to save the pennies.
What were you doing that was more important than the bring and buy, Russell?
Well, I basically sat in on a couple of seminars. The first one being Is There Anything New Under the Sun? Hosted by Lewis Pulsifer, who made like Britannia and Sea Kings. Very like old school designer who designed games and then sort of took a break and then came back and started designing them again. And then also present was Eric Lang, obviously, of XCOM fame, and also Christian Peterson, the CEO of Fantasy Flight. So that was really cool, it was the seminar was just in a corner of the hall. It was only blocked off by these sort of fake walls. So people, it wasn't like a fully sort of private thing, but it was really good. I got sat down there, listened to them, asked them a couple of questions. It was basically about how innovation is used and utilized and like adapted and all that kind of stuff within the games industry. They brought up some really good points. They were saying, one thing they don't do particularly is seek out innovation. They kind of just try and make a great game. And then if it happens to be innovative, that's just like a plus. Obviously, Eric, having designed the first, or if not the first big game that needs an app to play it in XCOM, he had a lot of interesting things to say as well about how that went and how that was. Obviously, creating something that could be considered controversial, because as tabletop gamers, it kind of expected to be able to play the game wherever you are. That you don't need sort of technology to play this, and so him having created that knew that it was going to be a controversial thing. But he said that he was surprised at the level of like positive feedback he got from that. Also interesting, the CEO Fantasy Flight also said that it was a very good success for them financially. So from that, I'm to take that we will be seeing more of those games that rely on apps. But that was quite interesting. And there was also another one about Netrunner with the guy who Quinns from Shut Up and Sit Down, a very big Netrunner player. He also was in a seminar talking about that. And also the Dice Tower did a seminar, but we didn't get in.
Oh no.
Because it was so busy, but they post them online, so I actually checked one of them out earlier on today, and that was quite cool. Anyway, sorry, seminars, great addition to all the other fun. And there was also a couple of prize draws that they do. They're giving away the first ever copies of Pandemic Reign of Cthulhu, which was only just released, not even released technically. They were literally the first copies given out to the public in this like prize draw, which is kind of fun, and you just waiting around with your ticket, and like even though you knew you weren't going to win, like it was still kind of fun to just be like in that exciting sort of atmosphere, waiting for your number not to be called out. But that was good, and obviously tried another couple of games as well. But because of the giggle that's coming up, I don't want to give away too much about that.
Okay.
So,
So, and you played a mega game, Russell, is that right?
Correct. So Mega Game, for those who don't know, is a game that's kind of a little bit role-playing, a lot role-playing, and also a little bit tactics. This one's called Watch the Skies, and Dave did a really fantastic write-up of the one that he played a few weeks ago, so do check that out on the website. But I took part in exactly the same game, but with obviously completely different outcomes, because that's the whole point of these mega games. They start off kind of fairly similar, and then they diverge completely because of the role-playing element of it. Essentially, you play as with a group. I played as part of Team Nigeria, so I was representing the country of Nigeria, and I started out as their foreign advisor. That meant that I had to go to UN meetings. So when the disasters happened, such as the first one, which was the Metaflu outbreak, happened right in our neighborhood, Nigeria being the epicenter of a lot of disasters that happened in this mega game, not least of which was Godzilla and Mechagodzilla fighting out. So that kind of gives you an idea of where these games kind of end up. It starts off all serious, and then you have to like allocate resource points to different things like building up defense, your army, which is sort of played out on this big giant map of the world, which is all controlled by your generals. So you're like your army captains and generals and stuff. That's their job, is to go out there and deal with the troops and send off secret agents to find out information and attack people and so on. And then they're also, so you have all these different countries, and you have the presidents, and you have the scientists, which again, they go off and do their own thing. Like, they go off and they get new research, they write research papers, like nonsense. Our group of scientists built a space elevator, which Team Nigeria actually came up with. A space elevator, they all went up on the space elevator, they all created all sorts of crazy technology, they decided to stay there, so we literally lost them for about half the day, because they were literally sitting down, unable to return to Earth. But the big thing is, obviously with the name Watch the Skies, it's all about aliens. So there were groups of people who were aliens. Now, in Dave's game, I believe the aliens were kind of all on the same sort of page, but one thing they did say in this game that they tried to do was make the different groups of aliens have different objectives. So while they were essentially, you know, fighting for the same goal overall of trying to whatever what they were doing for the humans, whether they were for the humans, trying to help them or trying to harm them. That was the mystery of the game. That was what our countries were trying to find out. But they also had their own individual goals, and so that spiced the game up a bit, I think, because you never knew really which aliens were on your side, if they were at all. I just can't explain how crazy this game is. It's just insane. Like Mecha Godzilla fighting out. Basically, our scientists created super explosives, and they created a diamond laser drill, blood diamond drill, specifically made with blood diamonds. Drilled down into the earth, found a lizard. The lizard escaped. We, the scientists, because there was a role swap, like in Space Cadets, there was a role swap where everyone had to switch around roles, and I became the scientist, and so we decided to create a Mecha Godzilla to tackle it, and then after that, just I kind of lost track of stuff. It was just insane. I can't do it justice through this, but
Okay.
Does any of that sound familiar to you, Dave, or was it completely?
Yeah, I mean, I like the chaotic nature of it, because that's essentially what happens to you. Is you're caught in this whirlwind of madness, and there's nothing you can really do about that. You can try and just interact with it as much as you possibly can. I think it seems to be the game. How many people were playing your game?
So we had 12 countries of at least 4 people, and then we had 3 groups of aliens, and the press as well. So there's press present. They were supposed to create newspapers which were distributed around, but there was an issue. Actually, they were sabotaged by the aliens, but I don't know if that was like an on-the-fly, you know, switch around to make it like part of the game, or if that had already been part of the game. But then they had like a Twitter account, so we were like updated about stuff. There was interviews with aliens on the Twitter before we even knew who they were, so it was kind of like they were putting out all this stuff. It was just fascinating. Like
It's
I was
amazing because it's
exhausted.
essentially a social experiment, isn't it? Really,
It is.
What people will do, and I guess it doesn't matter as much in the grand scheme of things, but it's still interesting to see what avenues people will take in the game. And I liked in our game that there was just madness happening on the other side of the planet, but because it wasn't next door to us, we didn't really have to care too much. We're like, we'll leave those guys to clean that mess up, and hopefully it doesn't come our way. We'll deal with it when it comes to our doorstep. But it was just kind of really interesting to see that mentality, I suppose, be reflected in this game, because you've just got so much going on your own in your own country and the surrounding ones that you can't worry about everything. I can't worry about Cthulhu bursting out of the waters. There's just nothing I can do about it right now. I've got to deal with the Americans, and they're much worse.
It's funny you say the Americans, because that was the one thing that I did find myself surprised by, how much I was invested at the end. Despite the ridiculousness of it, there was a moment where one scientist, because there was a PlayStation YOLO, and that whoever got the highest score was invited to visit the aliens, and we all were kind of suspect. And then the aliens invited all of the scientists, me of which I was one of them, to come visit them. But me and America and Russia decided not to go up and visit them, and so all of them got brainwashed. and it was just us three, and we were going to pool all of our resources into creating like a global orbital attack grid to like destroy the aliens and like protect ourselves. But I got betrayed. America and Russia snuck off and did it without me, and they defended themselves, and I was left on my own.
Whoa.
And I was just devastated, and I felt betrayed. But just at the end, we literally didn't have time to do it because the game ended too early, but I was just about to use my plasma research to create an army of Godzilla men to go and attack America, but I didn't get time to. But never mind.
That's a shame.
Next time, yeah.
Next time.
So yeah, that's a little taste of what a mega game is.
What at the expo for each of you? What was the best game you bought? Not including Jam Sumo because it's the best game ever.
Well, it is. That's true. So I only bought 2 games. Can you believe? Jam Sumo was one of them. Signed by Gavin. And he caught up with us later to see us playing, which was really nice of him to do that. So that was lovely, and Jam Sumo will always have a place in all of our hearts, I'm sure. But the one game that kind of also has a story to go with it was that we were sitting down on the first night. So me and Rob were kind of playing with his games, I suppose. He'd bought a ton, as he tends to do. So we had this
I see why you didn't buy many
two-player
games
game
then.
you might have heard of. Is it Omatola, I think it's called? Something like that?
Onitama.
Onitama, that's the one.
Yeah,
Onitama, the little chess kind of style game. Very clever.
Yeah.
I really liked it.
It's a cool game.
Took me a little moment to get my head into the right space, but as soon as you are, it's a really interesting game. I think you can suffer a little bit from the cards drawn in the particular game you're playing, but it changes each time, so that's kind of works out. Anyway, we're having a great game of this, and then a chap kind of came by to just see what we were doing, and we invited him to come join us and play a game, and it turned out it was Rory from Rory Story Cubes. So I was playing this game with Rory and just having a lovely chat about it. And then he was like, I've got a game I'd like to play with you guys. And it was Shadowrun Crossfire, which is a very... I'd not heard of it before, but it's essentially a deck-building game, cooperative, where you're a bit like a Netrunner universe, but more fantasy-inspired. So you can be like trolls, but in the sci-fi setting, which is quite bonkers, and have all these crazy street mages who are like, hacking into the system to fry people with fireballs and stuff. It's just... nuts. But yeah, the theme was really nice, but I really liked this whole deck building cooperative game. It's got a bit of a kind of legacy feel to it because you gain karma, or leveling up points essentially after each game that you can then make your characters better with by getting new skills and abilities for all of them. So I was just really intrigued by this game that I hadn't heard about. So yeah, it was
Can I
really
just check
cool.
it? It wasn't Rory's game, was it? Like his
No,
own
this is
game?
made by Catalyst. It's released by Catalyst Games. I think Tops had created it. It's a very strange combination of where it actually comes from, and I hadn't heard of the designers or anything like that before, but it was just a really interesting take on the deck building game that I hadn't really had before. I was like, this is great. So from that, I thought I'm going to dive into this. So I managed to pick that up in Thirsty Meeples the next day, and I've played it several times. You can do it solo as well if you want, or me and Rob have had a game since, and it is tough. It's a hard co-op game. So I'm really enjoying the challenge of trying to beat it. I
think the best ones are though, really, aren't they?
Oh yeah, it's got to be.
Games. Like Dave, I didn't go in there, planning to buy loads and loads of games, and I didn't. But what I did buy was one of the first copies of The Networks, which is a game by Gil Hover. It's by Formal Ferret Games, and it's essentially a game where you have to create the best sort of TV channel. So you start off with a basic cable channel with 3 crap TV shows, and you then buy and develop new shows, bring new stars on those shows to increase viewers, buy adverts to get more money, and it's so on. I was kind of sold on it because there was a lot of buzz about it, and I played Primetime briefly at Essen last year, and I wasn't that won over by it. And so I was looking for a game, because I used to work in TV, and so I'm kind of like fascinated by that. And I just think it's actually a really good idea for a game, creating a TV channel on your own schedule. And so I bought it purely on that basis that I kind of was won over by talking to Gil briefly before I got the game. He seemed really, excited about it and passionate about it, and then also hearing a couple of other people, seeing a couple of people in the queue, for example, for one of the podcast recordings, asking them about it and going, yeah, no, I feel it's really good. And so there was just like this general positive buzz. I haven't played it yet, but when I do, I will be sure to write a review for Chits and Giggles website. So I'm looking forward to playing that.
It's a nice theme for a game. I haven't
Yeah.
heard that kind of theme before, so I think it's an interesting idea, and I can kind of see how it would work, which is...
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm fascinated. I look forward to finding out more about that.
Hopefully not too long.
Crack on, Russell, come on.
So, Russell, what's the giggle for this week? I know you had something lined up.
Well, this is quite an interesting one because obviously me and Dave both been to the UK Games Expo and you haven't. It kind of would be unfair
Thanks for rubbing it in.
Yeah.
Again.
Salt in the wound.
Again.
So I figured you coming up with games about the UK Games Expo is unfair because you didn't go, but also, you know, it would be unfair for me to compete you two against each other. So what I thought we'd do instead, something a little bit different. You're going to play a solo challenge.
A solo, because you know how much I love solo games.
Exactly. So the idea is, what me and Dave both saw some new games at the expo.
Yeah.
But we also and some of them are very quirky. So the idea is that we're gonna describe games, one maybe 3 each or something, and then you basically have to figure out whether we're telling the truth, if this is a real game or if it's just a fake game that we've made up.
Okay.
Sound good?
Oh, it's yep. The thing is, Dave was just talking about a beatboxing game, so
well, anything goes now, basically. Yeah,
I know.
There's also something about Flea Circus, and I'm like,
I should have saved those. I should have saved them. I've been a fool.
Don't worry, there was plenty of weird games at the
There
expo
were.
that I think we won't have a problem coming up with them.
All right, so these may have been from the playtesting. They may have been from the actual expo. I'm not going to tell you if they were
Okay.
being marketed or not. So just to help with the madness of some of these. So one I saw was called Dicing with Death. Which is where you've got one player who plays death. They have their own little cards that the players have to meet. So it's like conditions. So death's demands deck essentially. The others are all rolling dice that have good deeds on them. So I'm trying to think of some of them. So courage and kindness and charity and those sort of things that they would roll in secret, and they would have to meet death's demands. Otherwise they would lose one of their dice, which is their lives, and then the last player actually gets to survive and death does not take them over to the other side.
That sounds quite cool. so give me an example of what a death's demand might be.
So it would be I don't know, saving a child and that sort of thing. And so what were the things that would go into that? And it might be kindness, it might be good heart or courage. So you would have to then have those on your dice that you would have to then commit to death's demand to survive that round.
Okay, and that's it.
And then you would keep going until you've only got one player who managed to get through all the demands.
Well, it sounds like a real game because it's got a cool title, but the gameplay seems so basic. It would be the equivalent would just be saying okay guys, to pass this round you need to roll 2 2s and a 4, and then everyone rolls dice, and if you do, you stay.
You're gonna feel really bad when this is a real game and you've just insulted the designer.
No, have I not? Is that's pretty much the game?
Yeah, it's pretty much the game.
Okay, so
hoping it's fake. Hoping.
I think this is a real game.
It is, in fact, a fake game, not a real game. I'm sorry. That's not a real thing. So if you want to start developing that one, Ben, you can have that.
No, I don't. It sounded like there were some flaws in the design there, but I just thought I should have. I'm like, Dave, you're a good designer. You would come up with a better fake game than that. The name though, Dicing with Death. You need to check if this is a game because if not,
I know, right?
That needs to happen.
Yeah, nice. All right, Russell, have you got a go?
So my first game. Sorry, it's called Piranha, and the idea is that it's an area control game. And so basically, you have these.
Sounds good.
You have these fish, all these different kind of fish. So in Risk, they have smaller pieces and then cavalry and then whatever bigger pieces. Well, the idea is you have different units, but they're all just different fish, different size of fish. And the biggest one is obviously a piranha. And then basically you can only your goal is just to eat as many fish as you can, but you can only eat them if you have greater number of fish in the area of the pond than your opponent does. And so it's literally just an area control game with fish in. essentially.
How do you get more fish?
Oh, you basically on each turn, like again, it's similar to Risk. You are allowed to bring new fish in. If you get a fish eaten, then you can bring in a new fish, but it has to be the same size. So you will literally keep cycling in these fish, but you can only bring them in from the edge. So there's so the edges are like not as not easy to eat, but it's like all the action tended to happen in the middle of the pond. But yeah, you literally keep bringing fish in.
And did you enjoy this game when you played it?
Well, to be honest, I didn't really want to play it because I'm not really a big fan of area control games. But it's just one that I sort of like watched my friends play because I was waiting to play another game called The Pursuit of Happiness. So yeah, but, yeah.
And what's the game called?
Piranha.
This is
It was
called Piranha.
literally it. Yeah, I don't know if they're gonna change it, but that was what it was called.
I'm going to say that is a real game.
It was in fact a fake game.
Oh! This is so annoying. Because again, I was like, that game sounds really bad, but I don't want to be mean and just constantly say, but it just sounds awful.
Yeah.
I just got to stick with it.
Yeah, you gotta go with the gut, man. Like the Piranha.
I'm not very good at this game. All right.
You've done
Bring it
one.
on.
It's a very
so
good
far.
board game design exercise, this. Just spouting
Yeah.
nonsense and hoping it turns into a game.
Yeah, well, both of them so far sounded pretty awful. But the thing is, I would hate if I'm over here like, oh, that sounds rubbish, and then you're like, no, that's Gavin's new game, and I'll be like, oh my god,
Okay.
oh my
No,
god.
we wouldn't
what
put
have I-
All right, I got
Gavin
next
into
one.
that.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
So, Ice Cool, all right, which is like a dexterity race game where you have penguin weebles, essentially. Have you seen weebles? Do you know what they are?
Yeah,
You know, like the little wobbly things.
yeah.
Right, so you have these little penguin weebles, and you have to flick them around the school.
The school, it's set in a school.
Yeah.
Oh, Ice
I think that's
School.
like the pun they're trying to get, yeah. Ice Cool. Ice
Okay.
School.
How's it spelt? How's it spelt?
ICECOOL.
So it's not ice school.
No.
It's ice cool.
Ice
Okay.
Cool, but when you say it quick
It sounds like high
or
school.
inebriated, yeah, it sounds
That's
like...
clever. That is clever.
Ice School.
Did you go to Ice School?
Right, so... yeah, that's a banger.
That's a real game.
Totally is a real game. It probably shouldn't
Yeah.
be, but it is a real game.
It
No,
was like
this- 'cause
do really well at the extra. Everyone.
I
was
don't know
loving it.
why. I really don't. I played it and I was like, okay. And I walked away.
One game would be entertaining.
Yeah,
surely.
that's it.
And then
I
after
played
that-
one game. We didn't even finish the game of like the round of the game. I literally because they have an interesting thing, which is one of the penguins becomes like the hall monitor. It's very strange. And so like I was playing the hall monitor penguin, and I basically just had to flick my penguin into the other penguins.
Yeah, but who doesn't want to do that?
And, like that was the game.
sounds
And I was
awesome.
like, okay. And so yeah, I suppose I stole their hall passes. It was very strange. And the Shut Up Show
But I
have
think
talked about this before.
because you've been a teacher for real, maybe you have to,
How does this compare? How does this compare to real
Yeah.
school?
to being an actual hall monitor or
Maybe it did capture that feeling. But
yeah,
I don't know.
as
I
a real
wasn't
teacher, you
convinced.
can't
That's
hit
what-
the children.
That's
But you
what
don't
they should have
slam
been
into
going
people
for,
as
you
the
know?
hall monitor. You just don't-
Replicating the feeling of being in school. That's what you want in a game.
I'd love that. Yeah. So
Okay.
no, you're right.
Okay,
it
I've
was a
got
real
one.
game, but it was. I would have preferred to play Dyson with Death. I'll be honest.
All right, so my next game. This one is called The Hen Commandments.
Oh, I know that this is a real game. I played it last year at the
They
UK
were
Oh,
there.
you
They
did?
were rocking it. They had
Yeah.
fine hats on.
Yeah, they had like amazing hats.
They did have an amazing hat again.
Yeah.
Again, like I don't know. I think the hat is the reason why I went to the show. Yeah. Anyway,
Sorry,
yeah,
I should
just
have
for
kept
those-
that hidden so that I could have been like, oh yeah, that's real. That sounds really
Yeah,
cool.
I should have, but you too late now. But I am going to explain it for the benefit of those who haven't read the blog online. Essentially, it's a party-style game. The great hen lays 6 eggs each round, and each one is like a part of a sentence. So you end up with a complete sentence. It's usually kind of nonsense, like / innuendo. And the idea is everyone has these cards that are like pious words on them. So you have like dutiful or sinful or no desire or or sacrifice, and everyone like has to choose what that sentence is about. And then if anyone picks a unique card, they get to sell why they have a minute to sell why they think that sentence is about that kind of idea to the other players who are the judges, and the judges are the players who pick the same card as someone else. It kind of was okay. Like it was okay. I wouldn't play it myself because I just there was some flaws with it, but it was still an okay game, if you know what I mean. But
Yeah,
I wouldn't.
cool.
Not for me. Just not for me. Anyway, so
I'm still counting that as a win for me, just from.
Oh yeah, it does count. All right.
Your prior knowledge. Well done, prior knowledge. You win again.
You can't let me down.
Okay, so Mecha Brick. Okay, which
How
is
is that
essentially
spelled?
Mecha Brick. Don't Google it. I can hear you tapping away.
That's me.
I'm not googling nothing.
Outrageous. All right. So in this game, essentially, it seems to be right. The brick is kind of like playing on Lego, essentially. Okay, so you have like little Lego minifigures, and what this game provides is like little bits where you can customize your Lego minifigures in like a mech suit, so they look a bit like a Gundam.
Okay.
And then you kind of just have like a little battle on a little grid, and you can kind of build houses out of your pre-existing Lego collection if you care to, and then you fight.
So it's like a miniatures game using Lego.
Yeah.
Is it a branded officially Lego game?
I don't know if they would get away with that. I don't
Wait,
think
so
they're
it's-
allowed to say it.
So hang on,
Even though the entire game
do they
is
use
based
Lego
around-
pieces? Do they use Lego pieces?
They will say that to you, but they're not allowed to write it to you.
Are you just trying to cover us legally by not saying that?
Yeah.
Like, no, we're not saying that, but you know,
Exactly.
I
I think it's one of those. Essentially,
there.
all the pictures show
Wink.
you a shadowed out version of what would be a minifigure, and there's definitely a minifigure inside the little Gundam suit.
Okay.
See, I have a feeling this is real only because it sounds okay. It's like originally it sounds awful, but I seem
Oh,
to
dear.
remember watching a documentary about a guy who spent all of his life savings developing like a Lego-based miniatures game, which looked pretty awful. So I'm going to say that it's real.
That's the guy.
Oh my
poor man.
god.
Okay, good. Again, prior knowledge.
Prior knowledge.
knowledge. Right.
All right, one more each. Go on, Ross.
Oh, I feel so sorry for this guy because
Hang on, I've only done.
Have
one.
you?
you've done.
No,
you've
have
done
done
two.
one, but you
Two,
just
all
fluffed
right.
it with hen commands, I guess.
All right.
Um,
Okay, so this is Double Trouble.
Hey!
Like
Oh my
the
god!
game,
Oh,
Double.
please tell me this is a double spin-off.
Oh, it is. It's the official Double game, but it's called Double
I like
Trouble. Essentially, it's almost exactly the same game, except that there's two separate decks. So basically, you buy the new deck, or you can buy the two of them, and you're literally playing with the two decks. That is literally it. But they're different colors, and there are like, you know how the original Double had like 5 mini games that you could play. Well, essentially, you can play all of those 5 mini games with this new deck, but there's also like 5 new mini games that you can play involving both decks. But they're like kind of similar. They're very similar to the other mini games. It's just that instead of matching like on one like spot on the board, now you match on 2, or you take from one or the other. It's So that's literally the game, Double Trouble.
Oh dear! Oh dear!
Oh dear!
Now the
oh
thing
dear.
is,
Go on.
Double amazing, Jungle Speed amazing, Hally Galley amazing, Hally Galley Extreme pretty bad, Jungle Speed Safari pretty bad. So these
I don't
dexterity
know. I like
games,
Jungle Speed Safari. It's not
these
bad.
these dexterity games, the reaction games, have a tendency to release sequels which are pretty bad. So, based on that logic, I'm gonna say it's real, and it really pains me to say that.
Double Trouble is completely made up.
Oh, thank God.
Hey!
But like, that was pretty good naming, right? I mean, I'm
No,
pretty
that's
happy with
good.
the
That
name.
is
like
good.
Double Trouble.
I like it. I
Trouble.
like it. Like
Um,
that's okay, good.
Well
I'm
done,
glad.
well done.
That's one I'm happy to lose on. But the thing is, I was worried because there's been some bad dexterity sequels So I thought, oh, no, they've done it again.
It'll
No,
happen.
it was just
I
Russell.
mean, I may have just opened the floodgates there for
What have
think
you
so.
done?
expansions.
So am I 3 up, 3 down at the moment?
I think so. Do we need a tiebreaker?
Yeah, I think I would just need to.
I think
one
I think
to
we need a
know.
win. Dave, do you have one in the bank? Because
I've
I
got
do.
one. I got
All right,
this.
you can do it. You can do it.
We can both have a tiebreaker, to be honest with you, and
Yeah.
see,
And then I
see
can
what
tie.
happens. All right, so the last one I've got is Balloonatics, which was the best name for a game I saw. So it's a push your luck kind of game. It felt a bit like Ink and Gold. Essentially, you're all like in a hot air balloon together, or I don't know. Anyways, you are coming across various hazards, and weather conditions that you've got to choose if you're going to like up your balloon to go higher and avoid the obstacles, or if you're going to go down and all that sort of things, or if you're just going to carry on your path. So, and then cards will be revealed to show you what the next obstacle will be. So, for example, if it's like birds, you have to fly higher, and storms higher. But if it's like planes, you have to go lower and shit like that. And you're collecting like points as you go. A bit like I'm trying to think of a game where you do the little flying thing through the hoops and stuff like that. Yeah, so it's just a little push your luck game with a good title.
Now this sounds like more like an app than a board game, but it does sound like something that you may have played in the playtest area. Balloonatics, it's a good name, but it's a very Dave name. I'm gonna say that is fake.
Oh, he was right all along. He knew. He called it. Called it. I'm going to make this game, though. This will be a real game, and then you'll be wrong!
Well, make a game called Balloonatics, but make it...
Make it good.
That sounded like an app, you know what I mean? Where you have like Flappy Bird but with hot air balloons.
Yeah, there you go. That's mine. Spent, therefore Ben wins.
Do you want to do the bonus one then? Or
I would love to do
it. Okay.
No, I want to do a bonus question. This is actually quite fun.
Okay, so this game's called Costa Rica, and basically it's another push your luck game.
This is just
it's
released by Mayfair Games, and this is designed by people from Playtest UK.
It's not released though. That's the thing.
No, it's just been announced.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah.
Come on, man. What?
What? I didn't know. I didn't know you knew that. They were like, they didn't even have like a good prototype at the stand. Like they were using like pieces of card with like printed things on them. I was like, you might not know about this.
So
it sounds cool, but
all right,
the designers are from Playtest UK, so these are some of the designers from the Playtest group which runs the Playtest area.
Okay,
so that might be why I'm aware of that. I may have played in a very early version of that a long time ago.
All right, we'll do one more. Highwaymen. This is a game where you are essentially, it's a semi-co-op game. You are basically highwaymen. Real or fake?
How many players?
Okay, no. So it goes up to 4 players, I think. I might even go up to 6. I can't remember. The idea is it's
you
like
just made it up.
So it's like a modular board. No, I genuinely can't remember, or I made it up. Either way, the idea is it's a modular board. You have like 8 sort of paths where the coach, the stage coach, will go, and they each like turn is move on to the next path. You will have these escorts. They're like kind of trying to guard the stage coach, and you will on your turn roll some dice to move. You can shoot. If you shoot an escort and you kill them, that's great, but you don't get anything for it. But if you shoot the stagecoach, then it drops some gold, and then anyone can go and pick up that gold. But then you can also like steal from each other, but it's only the most gold at the end of the game wins. So it's like, and you can also like go off the path and just explore the forest and the wilderness. Basically,
this sounds like Colt Express, but on a road. So, because I know how much you love that game, Russell, I'm going to say this is fake.
It's real.
Oh, really?
It's real. But it didn't count.
On Kickstarter now.
Anyway. Yeah, it is actually, by a group called Fat Chance Games. We did have fun, not me and Dave, but me and my friends did have fun playing it. But it definitely doesn't feel finished. Like it's still got some things to work on. But yeah, anyway, just
because it sounds interesting, but it just sounds very Colt Expressy, and I was like, maybe Russell's trying to kind of re-theme a game and sneak it in as a fake.
No, but no, it wasn't. No, just a real game by real guys.
You know, a game that was there that really shouldn't have been. I don't know if you saw this, Russell, but there was a stand with a very, distressed-looking lady trying to sell a game called Supermarket.
I didn't see that. Where was this?
And it was even in the Expo guide. They'd spent money to try and advertise this game, but it looked like the worst thing. It looked like people who had no concept of board games had tried to make a board game. You know, like when you're in year 5 in primary school and the teacher asks you, let's make a board game, and everyone makes the worst game ever. They'd done that, and then they decided to go with it. And I think people were basically, there was a bit of a talk about this. It was quite strange that people were just confused how it got this far, you know? They'd been allowed to come to the Expo and then show their very handmade, printed very cheaply game off.
So it wasn't even good quality
to do this. Oh no, it's terrible. It was literally like the worst thing you can imagine. It was worse.
The funny thing is,
worse
this
than
is kind of
Piranha.
This is kind of why I like the UK Games Expo though, because for every game like that comes along, which is like made on the kitchen table, which is awful.
There's a Lugo. No, I'm joking.
There's someone like Gavin who hand makes all of his games, and they're amazing. And that's what I love about it. That you have to have the bad to get the good.
I think it's nice to have the contrast, actually. Yeah, that's true. All right. Nailed it. Well done anyway, Ben. You did win that game.
You did.
Well, thanks for teaching me all about what I missed out on and rubbing it in. And there is a kind of a board gamey thing. Well, it's PAX. It's more like computer games, but there's board games there. And that's the closest thing we have here in Melbourne. So I'll go to that in November, hot off the heels back from Essen, and I'll let you know how that was.
Look forward to it.
Yeah, I'm excited. I believe I might be working at that though, so I might not see as much as I hope. Anyway, so that's all we have time for on the UK Games Expo podcast. Thanks for the awesome fake games, guys.
You're welcome. I could come up with them all day.
Yeah, I actually really want to come. Can we do this again? But can we just do it generally? Because I really want to come up with some real and fake games for you.
Yeah, why not? I enjoyed it. I think we can do it again.
Cool.
We didn't come
up with some fake games.
We didn't come up with a name for it.
Fun.
The fake name game. Game.
Fake game game. I like that. The fake game game.
That's good.
Well, thanks for the fake game, and thanks for telling me all about Expo, because I really like the UK Game Expo. Maybe I'll try and... Thing is, if I try and come back for it the next year, I have to choose between that and Essen, and that's a tricky decision.
There's always both.
There's always both. Just stay here for the intermediate months.
Yeah, it's true. I'll stay there from June to October, I think.
Fine.
That would be good.
I see no problems.
You're going to let me
that.
sleep at your house, David. Thanks. Cool. Well, check out all the reviews and stuff on the website. And thanks for listening. And until next time, see you later.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the Chits and Giggles podcast. For more reviews and podcasts, visit forchitsandgiggles.com.